Hi everyone, welcome back to Unfiltered, the podcast where we make international relations make sense. Today, we're talking about something that sounds mysterious, powerful, a little bit controversial: diplomatic immunity. You've probably heard this term before, maybe in a crime headline or a TV show. A diplomat is involved in a serious incident, police step in, and suddenly they can't even arrest the person. That's usually where the confusion begins. Let's start today's episode with a story. In 2019, a British teenager named Harry Dunn was killed in a road accident near a US military base in the UK. The driver was the wife of an American official. When the police tried to pursue the case, they were told she had diplomatic immunity and she'd already left the country. For many people, this raised one big question: how can someone just walk away? That moment, when authorities realize they can't act, is where diplomatic immunity feels unfair. But to understand why it exists, we need to go back to the basics. Diplomatic immunity is governed by the 1961 Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, which almost every country in the world has signed. The key idea behind it is something called functional necessity. Immunity is not meant to protect the individual as a person. It exists so diplomats can do their jobs without fear of harassment, pressure, or politically motivated arrests by the host country. In simple terms, if diplomats could be arrested whenever relations turn tense, international communications would collapse as a whole, especially during wars or crises. Now, let's clear up a few common myths about diplomatic immunity. First of all, some people say that diplomatic immunity is just the get out of jail free card, when in reality, it is not absolute. A diplomat's home country can actually waive immunity, allowing local courts to prosecute them, and if they do not, the host country can declare the diplomat persona non grata, which basically means you are no longer welcome here and must leave. Another myth is that everyone at an embassy has full immunity. In reality, there are multiple levels to it. Senior diplomatic staff obviously have the strongest protections. Administrative and technical staff have more limited immunity, and consular officials have even fewer protections, especially for private acts. So what does immunity actually include? There are three main pillars when it comes to this. First, inviolability. Diplomats cannot be arrested, and their homes and embassies cannot be entered without consent. Second, immunity from jurisdiction. They are generally not subject to the host country's criminal courts, as normal citizens are. And third, fiscal immunity, meaning exemption from most taxes and customs duties. But here's the engine that keeps the whole system running: reciprocity. Countries respect foreign diplomats because they want their own diplomats protected abroad. If one country breaks the rules, the diplomats elsewhere are suddenly at risk. That mutual dependence is what keeps the system alive. Of course, this system is under pressure today. In a world that cares more about human rights and accountability, diplomatic immunity can feel outdated. Some countries are accused of abusing it, and at the same time, we're seeing a rise in what experts call hostage diplomacy, where states actually detain foreign nationals to get leverage. Despite all this, diplomatic immunity still matters. It allows dialogue to continue even when countries strongly disagree, and it keeps embassies open during conflicts. Sometimes, communication is the only thing preventing a situation from getting worse. So diplomatic immunity is not about privilege. It's about keeping global conversations alive, even in the most uncomfortable moments. Well, that's it for today's episode of Unfiltered. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow the podcast and keep watch for the next episode. Thank you so much!